Hello aspirants. Looking at current affairs for 15th Feb. The news items that we have picked up from the Hindu newspaper are these 14. We'll look at them in detail. The first one, Supreme Court verdict ends Sasikala bid to become CM. So this is regarding the post for Tamil Nadu Chief Minister. Former Chief Minister Jayalalitha, she died in December 2016 after she was hospitalized. So she and VK Sasikala, a close friend of hers who lived with her, they were staying together at Poise Garden residence of the CM. So they had a case against them. This is a 20-year-old case on which the Supreme Court has presently given its verdict. So this is a disproportionate assets case. Means assets are disproportionate to the source of income that you have. So this case means around 1996 case. So this was that the case said that in 1991 the assets of the accused were valued 2.1 crores, 01 crores. So around 2 crores. And in 1996, in the next 5 years, they had asset worth 66.44 crores. So where did this amount of money, huge amount of money, crores of money come from? When you don't have that source of income was the question, and that was a disproportionate assets case against them. Presently, the Supreme Court has given its verdict on this case. So it was a trial court in Bangalore which had convicted VK Sasikala, Jayalalitha, and even two others. You can see Sudhakaran and Elavarasari. This was the trial court's conviction in September 2014 when it was ordered that they have to be jailed. A 4-year term was given as such, and even imprisonment term, a simple imprisonment of 4 years each, and a fine of 10 crores. To Jayalalitha, it was fine of 100 crores. So this was the trial court sentence, and in appeal it had come up to the Supreme Court. Karnataka High Court had actually rejected this trial court's verdict, but Supreme Court has upheld this trial court's verdict now, and it reiterates this same sentence, and the accused will have to surrender before the government, before the authorities now. So now the thing is that against Jayalalitha, there will be no appeal standing because of her death. So she died on 5th December 2016. So this is the judgment coming forth presently. So this is, it says that even after she is has served her 4-year term, VK Sasikala, and even if Jayalalitha would have been alive, she would have to serve this prison term, and she would have to resign from the CM's post because she has to serve the prison term, and even after that she is disqualified from contesting elections. So presently Miss Sasikala, we are hearing she wants to become the CM of Tamil Nadu. She had initiated this process too. You must have heard in news that legislatures from AIADMK in the Tamil Nadu Legislative Assembly, they have all been residing in a resort. So there's some claim that it was, they have been forced to reside there. And some say that no, it is, even Sasikala has said they are all on their free will, they are residing here. But the idea is to keep them together so that they are not poached by some other leader who also wants to become the chief minister. So VK Sasikala, she had made herself the general secretary of AIADMK legislative party, plus the newly elected legislative leader, party leader of Tamil Nadu, he is also staking claim. So that, and plus even the chief minister who was made to resign, that was the chief minister, a loyalist selected by Jayalalitha while she was hospitalized. So at that time, she, and post her death, he was the chief minister, O Paneerselvam. So all these factions have cropped up in AIADMK, and each is claiming power. The Sasikala wanted to prove her majority on the floor of the house so that she can become the chief minister, and she was thinking that becoming the chief minister will give him some concessions because this verdict was also pending. But Tamil Nadu governor refused to appoint her as the chief minister or have a floor test done, because if the verdict comes in again, it would result in a new CM to be decided. So that is why that was also stalled. So now there is no chance that she would become the chief minister of Tamil Nadu. She will have to surrender before the authorities, serve the jail term, and the fine has to be paid. Then the next news item is Supreme Court clarifies on national anthem. So the Supreme Court had given its verdict on national anthem on November 30, 2016. It had said that the national anthem has to be compulsorily played in all cinema halls, and then all those who are present there should stand up to show respect. So this is to be considered as a way of showing your patriotism and nationalism. That's what the Supreme Court wanted. It also said that the national flag has to be put up on the screen when the anthem was played. Earlier, it had also said that the doors should be closed so that there is no disturbance. Then there were issues coming up that if there's some emergency, because in Upahar tragedy also, when a Delhi cinema caught fire, so the exits have to be there, the doors cannot be bolted, was the judgment in that case. So this contradiction also arose. So they said that it does not mean that you need to lock the doors, but just to avoid any disturbance. So this was the judgment. Later on an appeal, on a clarification, it had also made clear that for disabled this would not apply. Now again a clarification has been given by the Supreme Court that the national anthem which is played as part of the film, while the film is going on and the anthem is played, or as part of a documentary or a newsreel, if it is played, then there is no need to stand up. It is not necessary. So this is another clarification coming to this judicial ruling on national anthem. The next news item is trusted Trump aide Flynn resigns as NSA. So this is Michael Flynn, who was a former military general, and he was appointed as the national security advisor of US President Donald Trump. Now he has been forced to resign because he had a conversation with Russian ambassador to USA. So in this conversation, that time he was the NSA designate. He was at that post, and the conversation which he had has to be intimated to the Vice President of USA. So when the information was given to him, it was incomplete information given about the conversation. So that was the point. So he admitted that he had given incomplete information to the Vice President of USA, and even the US intelligence agencies had wiretapped. So the incoming NSA's conversations with the ambassador were wiretapped, and when this came up in the media because of the leaks, the content and the follow-up action resulted in him tendering his resignation. So again, his Russia links and even President Trump's Russia links come forth here, that how the US policy and with respect to Russia would go ahead when there are even claims that it was Russia which assisted in Donald Trump becoming the president of USA. So another such case is coming forth, which is an embarrassment for the US government. The next news item is tunnel found on Pakistan border. So this was detected by BSF, Border Security Force, while it was conducting an anti-tunneling exercise in Jammu district. In Samba district, it was found in Jammu. So this was a 20-meter long tunnel originating from Pakistan. So this is how infiltrators, terrorists enter into India from Pakistan across the border. So similar tunnel was found in November 2016 also in Samba district only. So this is the case. BSF is Border Security Force. It is one of the 5 central armed police forces of the country. So police, law and order is a state subject. But then the central armed forces are also their armed police forces. So these are the 5 central armed police forces. We'll discuss them. So this is BSF, Border Security Force. We'll see that in detail. CRPF, Central Reserve Police Force, is the successor to Crown's Representative Police Force of the British colonial era. So this is used for various operations, functions of the government, anti-insurgency operations of the central government. Even during parliamentary elections, they are stationed as such. So this is the reserve police of the central government. CISF is Central Industrial Security Force. It was formed in 1969, and this is used to safeguard the industries, the PSUs, public sector undertakings, prominent public sector undertakings, atomic energy plants, space stations, space organizations as such, then even steel plants, ports, airports. So there is requirement for security here, currency press, printing press. So all these are secured by CISF. Then ITBP, Indo-Tibetan Border Police. So this was formed after the India-China War 1962. So this safeguards the India-Tibetan border. So this is Indo-Tibetan Border Police. Sashastra Seema Bal, this we had seen recently in news also a day or two back. So this is safeguarding the border between India and Nepal. So it was in news because it is used for anti-insurgency operations too. So this is the reason why they were established, but it's not restricted. They can be used only for this purpose. So even in left-wing extremism areas, they are stationed and they function. And the news was that they had persuaded Maoists to surrender arms. So they had surrendered before them. So that was why they were in news. Sashastra Seema Bal. So this was also formed actually post India-China War of 1962. So these two are the consequences of that, safeguarding the borders. And the next is NSG, National Security Guard. So this is not a central armed police force formally, but this is also established in 1984 for ensuring the security, maintaining law and order, combating terrorist activities in the country, protecting states from internal disturbances. So this was raised in 1984 following the Operation Blue Star. So Operation Blue Star in Punjab, which was initiated by Indira Gandhi, in which the battle tanks were rolled into the Golden Temple, and the terrorists who was hiding there were brought out. They actually were eliminated. So this eventually led into the ire of the Punjab Sikhs, and this eventually led to the assassination of the Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. So this National Security Guard was raised in this phase in 1984. So all these actually work under Ministry of Home Affairs. The authority, nodal authority for them is Ministry of Home Affairs. So this is there. This is not categorized. NSG, you can see, is not categorized under the uniform nomenclature of Central Armed Police Force. So Central Armed Police Force are these 5 only. Then another one is Assam Rifles too. So earlier it was known as Kachcha Levy. It is said to be the oldest paramilitary police force in the country. So again, they were specifically set up as 5 central armed police forces. This is a legacy going on, and NSG was later established but not categorized under this. So these two are also there. So this is the oldest paramilitary force in the country, Assam Rifles. It was set up in 1835 by the British. So this is the case. It safeguards India-Myanmar borders. Then about the BSF, which was presently in news, the anti-tunneling activity in Jammu and Kashmir was conducted by BSF. So BSF was established post the 1965 war, India-Pakistan war. So this is one of the 5 central armed police forces. So it safeguards the borders between the 2 countries, India, Pakistan. So it is again under the administrative control of Home Ministry. So safeguarding borders is the main function of BSF, Border Security Force. And plus, it is also majorly stationed, as you see, in Jammu and Kashmir too. So it's one of the armed forces of the government of India. So you can see it's the world's largest border guarding force presently. It is termed as the first line of defense of Indian territory. So it is the subsuming all two actually. So it's safeguarding the borders, because Pakistan then was also East Pakistan and West Pakistan. So that's a huge border which we have with, as such, with now with Pakistan and Bangladesh. So that is taken care of by this border security force. The next news item is weather officials to study possible emergence of El Nino. So this is, so what is El Nino? We'll see in detail. But one thing you should know is that El Nino results in not good monsoons for the country, bad monsoons. So that is the linkage for sure. So El Nino does occur. It occurs around 6 times in 10 years. So that is the case. So it results in monsoon drying up over India, as it says. So now El Nino has been predicted by global authorities that it would be there presently too. So meteorologists around the world, they have said that it's a sure case that El Nino year would be there. So there is no clear pattern when El Nino occurs. So then when El Nino occurs, it's for sure monsoons are worse. So this, because such a study has come forth, and even Indian Meteorological Department has also have its forecast that El Nino may, like conditions may develop. So that is why a team has been formed of all these scientists from Indian Meteorological Department, Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology, Ministry of Earth Science. So all of them would meet and analyze the range of forecasts which are there, even from international climate models and their own too, that suggest that waters are likely to warm and change wind patterns enough to have El Nino-like conditions. So what is this waters warming and wind patterns changing? We'll see. So El Nino is the anomalous heating of the waters in central eastern regions of the equatorial Pacific. So this is the place you can see in central eastern region of Pacific. So this is the Australian continent. So here you can see this is the equator. This is the Pacific. You can see this is North America and South America. So this is the Pacific Ocean. So central region, this region of Pacific Ocean. So this is normal conditions. What is the case? In normal conditions, here water is cool and here water is warm. So the water movement and the winds above would also be cooler and warmer. So when what air is cool and warm, you can see it. ocean is cool, then it will have its effect on the air above it too. So warm air actually will rise up. So this rising up of warm air takes place, they form the clouds, and they further, they condense enough and they form clouds, and then the movement cycle continues. These clouds move, and here you can see the wind pattern. Then here in this case what happens is the air here is cool and this is cooler air. So cool air actually goes down. So air cool means density more. Density more means going down. So warm air density is less, so it rises up. So you should remember this: cool air, it comes down, warm air, it rises up. So this is a complete cell which is formed, cycle which is formed here. So this is the trade winds. So trade winds from cooler to warmer regions, trade winds move like this. Clouds are formed here, rainfall occurs in this region. So this is the normal condition. What happens is during the El Nino, this entire thing reverses. Means these waters here become very warm, warmer than normal. So what happens is that convection currents, these increase. So here the movement which takes place is quick rise of this warm air. From here only it starts rising, and you can see the cycle how it is formed. So these convection clouds form here only, and rainfall occurs here. And this, they don't move till here. Trade winds are not moving till here. Here only the convection takes place, and here the water becomes cooler than normal. So generally it's warmer, now it has become cooler than normal. So that's what the entire system reverses. Here there is rainfall and here there is no rainfall. So this is the case of El Nino. So that is because this water have warmed more than normal. So that is the El Nino. And La Nina is extreme, other end of El Nino. So in this case, these waters become cooler than normal and these become warmer than normal. So here the strong trade winds are generated, which result in increased convection, increased rainfall. So more than normal rainfall would come if La Nina conditions in. So both conditions are not normal. El Nino, La Nina means this is cooler than normal, and in this case it is warmer than normal. So these Pacific oceans near the equator, Central Eastern Pacific oceans, temperature is the key to understand whether El Nino or La Nina conditions may develop or not. So that is what this study presently. International climate models are predicting that El Nino like conditions will prevail. That is why a study is, discussion will come forth amongst these meteorologists from India, and they will analyze whether such a condition would come up and what steps they can be taken will be can be taken up later about giving a clear forecast will be put forth there. So this is there. So you can see it's a naturally occurring event in the equatorial region. So this one thing you should remember, that El Nino is warmer than normal sea surface temperatures in the Pacific Ocean off the coast of South America. So this is El Nino and La Nina in detail also. You can go through that. So El Nino, the term comes from the Spanish, it's a Spanish term, means boy child. So this generally it comes around Christmas during the time of December. So this is known as boy child, referring to Christ. And La Nina, it means little girl. Then the next news item is IF inducts indigenous early warning system. So this is airborne early warning and control system called NETRA, which we have developed. This has been jointly developed by Defense Research and Development Organization and this CAB, Center for Airborne Systems. So this has been developed for the Indian Air Force. So these are surveillance, used for surveillance basically. So long range surveillance will be possible through these airborne early warning control system. So Netra means in Hindi eye. So this is eye up in the sky which will be there. So it will be a huge force multiplier. It will be based on Embraer aircraft of the Indian Armed Forces. So that will be the platform for this AEWNC Netra. So this has been put on display presently, formally inducted during the aerospace exhibition which is currently going on in Bangalore. The next news item is Supreme Court is looking at triple talaq, not Uniform Civil Code, CJI. So Chief Justice of India has clarified that the Supreme Court case which is presently going on is on deciding whether triple talaq, nikah halala and polygamy are violation of Muslim women's rights. It has nothing to do with the requirement of Uniform Civil Code. So what are these three and what is Uniform Civil Code, you should know. So this triple talaq means talaq pronounced thrice and the man has given talaq to the woman. So under Islam, Actually, triple talaq, which is there mandated in Islam as a law, it says that with each talaq which is pronounced, so it's not 3 times talaq said in one go. It actually means that once talaq is said, there should be reconciliation, efforts made towards reconciliation, and later, even if that does not work and later again the man pronounces talaq, again there should be reconciliation. There's a time frame given, and after that again if a talaq takes place, then it's talaq pronounced as such. So that is actually what triple talaq actually implied. But then in one case, when triple talaq was pronounced in one go, and the religious head then had allowed this, so it has been said that since it is precedent has been set, so such case should also be allowed later. So this is what, so even All India Muslim Personal Law Board says that triple talaq, the way it takes place presently, is not allowed under Islam too. But since there's a precedent, you cannot say it is illegal. We'll have to accept it. So that is the case here. Nikah halala is actually un-Islamic again here. It means that a nikah is conducted of a married woman once she is divorced. She cannot marry the same man again. A nikah again, if it's conducted and then she has consummated that marriage, means they have had intercourse, marriage is consummated, and after that if she divorces and marries the previous husband, it is allowed, otherwise it is not. So nikah halala practice is generally done when the man again wants to go back to the woman whom he had divorced, then nikah halala is just done for the sake of it. So of course it is completely un-Islamic. So this is another point which has been put forth, which is affecting Muslim women's rights. And third is of course polygamy. So polygamy again is that a Muslim man can marry up to 4 women. So again, this is not some legally binding provision that you have to marry. You are allowed. So if a person marries, it is allowed. But if it is not that, if you are not marrying, then you are not a Muslim man. So again, it affects Muslim women's rights. So these are the 3 points on which Supreme Court will give its judgment, and it has clarified that this is just with respect to Muslim women's rights that we are going to pronounce a judgment on this. This has nothing to do with Uniform Civil Code. We will not give any judgment on whether the divorce should not be done through the Muslim boards as such, and whether it should be through another authority supervised by courts. All that will not be looked into. That is the legislative's work. The legislative body should decide, means the government should decide. Supreme Court will not look into this. The parliament should decide. So that is what it has clarified presently. And what is Uniform Civil Code? Uniform Civil Code means the laws in the country are of 2 types. Matlab bifurcation is 2. One is civil law, other is criminal law. So criminal law means when you commit a crime, what will be the rules, laws which will apply, and what punishment you would get. So CRPC, Criminal Procedure Code, IPC, Indian Penal Code are there. So that criminal law is that. So that is uniform all over the country for anybody. But civil laws means laws related to, where again there are disputes, like laws related to property, inheritance, then with respect to succession, with respect to adoption, marriage, divorce, all such cases, where would they go? They would go to civil laws. So there are civil courts. So the judiciary looks into all cases, civil and criminal. So these civil laws are not uniform for all. So that is why, because at the time of independence, it was felt that the country is still not ready, because there are various laws within the religion which mandate all these, which provide for all these aspects, civil cases. So as such, so that is why it was said that it should go according to that. Only when we can bring them all together, all the people in the country together, and have one uniform civil code, we would aspire for that. So that was made part of directive principles of state policy, that government should move towards bringing in uniform civil code. So that is what it is. So we have separate laws for Hindus, civil laws, separate civil laws for Muslims, separate civil laws for Christians, like that. So this is that. Then the next news item is India to join Moscow meet on Afghanistan. So this is important because the last meeting which Russia had hosted, this is also Russia hosted meet in Moscow. Last meeting was only among 3 countries. Russia had called only 2 other countries, China and Pakistan. Even Afghanistan was not called for discussing Afghanistan's future. So you can imagine Afghanistan was highly infuriated, and even India, which plays a significant role in Afghanistan as such, has invested there, bringing in infrastructure there, has its forces there. So India was also not happy with this decision of Russia coming close to Pakistan and China. Other things also, the military relations are also enhancing between Russia and Pakistan. They had joint military exercise conducted too, which was not to India's liking. Also, another case with respect to recent case of this UN Sanctions Committee on Maulana Masood Azhar, when it was decided that he should be declared as a terrorist at UN Sanctions Committee. Russia did not propose. It was not sponsoring the resolution. The other permanent members like USA, UK, France proposed it. Of course, China would not propose. China is anyway, we know, putting a technical hold on that. But Russia was not sponsoring. It did not put any objection to it because China's objection is enough. It is a veto member. So veto power member. So that is why Russia not sponsoring is also again a question why Russia would not support India as such. So it is seen that Russia and China are presently favoring Taliban. So the reason being Taliban even in Afghanistan, because Islamic State is also expanding itself and trying to get a footing in Afghanistan. So as putting a stop on that, favoring Taliban is what Russia and China is seeing presently. They are also making efforts to remove the designation of terrorists on many Taliban leaders in the UN Sanctions Committee. So they are reversing that now, that they should no longer be called terrorists. They are trying to cooperate with them to fight against IS. So that is the whole complicated matter here with respect to terrorism too, you can see. So that is the whole scenario. But presently, now the next meeting on Afghanistan's future, which is planned in Moscow now, India has been called, Afghanistan has been called to. There are 6 nations. So Russia, China, Pakistan were already there. India and Afghanistan would also come, and the 6th member is Iran. So all 6 nations would discuss on Afghanistan's future. They'll have a conference in Moscow. The next news item is Moscow deployed cruise missiles violating treaty. So this treaty, INF treaty as it is called, Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty. So this is an agreement between USA and USSR. Soviet Union. So now its successor is Russia. So it adheres to this treaty, though it has said quite often that it is not suitable to Russian requirements presently, indicating that it does not want to adhere to this treaty anymore. And that is the case. If it's a bilateral treaty, a country can back out. We saw with Kyoto Protocol to even a multilateral agreement, countries back out. Canada backed out of it, for example. So that is there. So again, this is there, but presently as of now, the treaty is there, and since it is in place and no country has backed out of it, it is binding on the 2 countries. So US and Soviet Union had signed this treaty in which they said that all nuclear and conventional missiles of short range and intermediate range. Short range means 500 to 1000 kilometer range, and 1000 to 5500 kilometer range, as well as their launchers, missile launchers, would be eliminated. So present stock was also eliminated as such. So this step was taken by them. So this was to abate tensions, because if both countries keep on developing weapons, then it would lead to going nowhere. So that is the reason why this treaty was signed, that these conventional and short range, intermediate range conventional nuclear missiles should not be there anymore. So this sea-launched missiles were not covered under this. But then presently Russia is developing its cruise missile. This is called SSC-8. So this missile, even USA has now concluded. Earlier it had said that it is testing this missile. Now it has concluded this missile is in operation and it has been deployed now. So this from 2014, now in 2017, it says after testing it has been operational. So this is what USA is raising its voice against, that this is against the treaty which has been signed. So it violates the 1987 Arms Control Treaty. So ground-based US and Russian intermediate range missiles are not allowed. So again, Russia is insisting and keen on such missiles because it says the Asian political scenario is quite different now, because that was the time of Cold War. But now the case is that China has no restriction on it. It is developing its short range and intermediate range missiles, and Russia is restricted because of this 1987 treaty. So we'll see what happens further on this matter too. What steps USA takes or Russia takes, it will be in news. The next news item is IRDA seeks to amend 16-year-old actuary rules. So this is Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority, which is established under the Act of 1999. So it's headquartered in Hyderabad. Earlier it was set up in Delhi, but now it is in Hyderabad in Telangana state. So here Insurance Regulatory the authority looks into insurance regulation. So there is a regulation here called of 2000 IRDA appointed actuary. So what is an actuary? Actuary is a business professional who deals with how to maintain solvency of the company. So solvency means it is, it's having its risks, uncertainties are minimized. So that way. So it measures and manages the risks and uncertainties of the company. So that is called an actuary. So appointed actuaries, how should they be appointed? Various regulations which are there for their appointments and functions. So there's a need to modify it, and that has been proposed by IRDA presently. So this is regarding that. FDI in insurance presently has been 100% since June 2016. The next news item is wholesale inflation races to 5.25%. So just day or 2 days back we saw CPI based retail inflation. Now this is regarding WPI based wholesale inflation. So wholesale inflation is 5.25%. Same for inflation in food is primary articles has quickened, but you can see in the food segment it has contracted for the second consecutive month. So it's monthly coming forth. Mineral sector inflation is doubling. Fuel and power, it has increased sharply. Manufactured goods have increased marginally. So post demonetization, we are seeing that manufactured goods are also prices have fallen. So this is the status which has been shown here. So these are wholesale prices. So each of them is calculated. WPI, CPI is calculated based on a basket of commodities. So weight is given to each of them, and based on this, the inflation levels also come forth. So in consumer price index, the maximum weightage is given to food and beverages, then housing, fuel and lighting, clothing, footwear, and other consumptions you can see. Pan, tobacco, and oxygens are also given a weightage here, miscellaneous commodities. So for CPI, base year is 2012, and for WPI, wholesale price index, there are three major sections. One is primary articles given 20% weightage, 64.97% is to manufactured products, and fuel and power takes up the rest. Then the next news item is India's air pollution rivals China's as world's deadliest, shows study. So this is an international study done which says that the air pollution levels in India are worsening rapidly, and it is going to rival China now. So because in China the air pollution levels are now stabilizing. So that is what is highlighted here, means there are many people in the country which are suffering because of this particulate matter pollution. So PM 2.5, which is released from vehicles. So especially through diesel engines. That is the reason why diesel engines were banned in Delhi by the Supreme Court too. So these by diesel engines, even by industries, even natural sources like dust are also there. So all these are affecting the human health, and this PM 2.5, it says, is a fraction of the width of human hair too. So we'll show you here. You can see if this is the human hair, then PM 2.5 is this small. PM, particulate matter 10. So this is in micrometers. So this is there. This is less than 10 micrometers, less than 2.5 micrometers. So this is PM 10 and PM 2.5. So these particulate matter, they enter into the human respiratory system, and you can see this is PM 10 shown by a larger dot and 2.5 by a smaller dot. So they go through the nasal cavity, enter into the trachea and the windpipe, and then they go into and settle into the lungs. So they adversely affect the human health as such. It causes airway irritability, respiratory infections, and damage the lung tissues. So deaths do take place too. So that is also been highlighted here, that the number of deaths which are taking place due to air pollution are also rising in the country. Nearly 50% increase in premature deaths from particulate matter. So that is the reason. The reason they say particulate matter pollution is because there is rapid industrialization in the country, population growth, and aging population is also increasing because they are the ones susceptible to air pollution. So this is the report. It says that air pollution is worsening in South Asia, but now it is improving in US and Europe. Steps are taken to rectify, reverse that pollution as such. Then the next news item is Thubber for use in soft stretchable electronics. So scientists have developed this material called Thubber. So Thubber is comprising of rubber and metal also. So these are liquid micro droplets of metal which are non-toxic. These are suspended in rubber. So this is the key ingredient here. So they remain in liquid state. So this allows the metal to deform the surrounding rubber. The way surrounding rubber is, they take that form as such. So this rubber is an electrically insulating. So because it's outside, it's rubber, so it's electrically insulating, and plus it has metal-like thermal conductivity and elasticity. So it is like as soft as biological tissues. So this is the case, a new material which has been developed. So this is a huge breakthrough which can be used in various electronics also. So this material, it can be used, they say, for athletic wear, sports medicines, because of its thermal conductivity and elasticity. It will have various functionings. It can be used in advanced manufacturing, energy sector, even in transportation sector. It will find its usage. So it can be used for making stretchable electronics materials. So that is rubber. So this you can see is rubber. So the rubber is taking the liquid particles of metal, micro droplets of metal, liquid inside, are taking the shape of rubber. Then the next news item, the last one, is chemicals banned in 1970s discovered in deep ocean fauna. So these are chemicals which were banned in 1970s in various countries. These are persistent organic pollutants. So POPs, as the name also suggests, these are pollutants which persist in the environment. Means they do not disintegrate easily. So that the decay does not take place. So that is why the reason they are banned was also this. So they affect the marine creatures, the marine animals which consume them. Also after their death, they are also consumed. So they die down and they go down to the depth of the oceans, and here the marine creatures consume them. And presently in this research, it was seen that the marine creatures at the deepest oceans and the trenches on the earth, they have the tissues of these marine creatures have these chemicals. So this shows how persistent they are. So these include PCBs and PBDs, polychlorinated biphenyls and polybrominated diphenyl ethers. So they are commonly used in electrical insulators and as flame retardants. So this was their function. So you can see here, this is PCB. So it was widely deployed as dielectric and coolant fluid in electrical apparatuses. So this is a persistent organic pollutant. Now it is banned under Stockholm Convention on Persistent Organic Pollutants, which was finalized in 2001. So signatories have this binding on them. Then this is polybrominated diphenyl ethers. So they were also brominated, means they were flame retardants. So they also have health hazards too. So this effect, they were said to be affecting even the fertility in humans. So they are used in various cases. It are used in electronics, motor vehicles, airplanes, plastics, even in building materials. So they are harmful to the humans too, and they persist in the environment. So that is the reason why they were banned. Before the Stockholm Convention was finalized, it was the Stockholm Conference which had taken place, United Nations Conference on Human Environment in 1972. So it had put the groundwork that protecting the environment has to be done. Environment and development was put on agenda, and even the UN Environment Program was created in this Stockholm Conference of 1972. Then in the Stockholm Convention on Persistent Organic Pollutants came in 2001. So this is the environmental treaty. So it will restrict and later eliminate the production and use of POPs, persistent organic pollutants. So it regulates their production, use, trade, as well as disposal. So this is there. The persistent organic pollutants which are there, you can see, they are basically can be divided into three categories. Some are pesticides which have been banned, like DDT is one of the persistent organic pollutant, you should know, banned under Stockholm Convention. Industrial chemicals like PCB has been banned. Then these byproducts of these have also been banned. So you can see. The new POPs added were also there. So the list has been expanded too. So these are all banned under Stockholm Convention on Persistent Organic Pollutants. So India is also signatory and it is binding on us. A prominent country which has not ratified Stockholm Convention is USA. So USA has not ratified it again. So that is it. These are the news items. Thank you.